And welcome back, guys, to another day in the Freedom and Company garage. Today we are building a custom coolant overflow for our 700cc Grom. Keep on watching. So you guys saw in some of our previous videos, we got our radiator set up, all dialed in. This thing is running great. It's cooling great. So that is not an issue anymore. But now we need a coolant overflow. So the stock FZ07 and the Grom, well, Grom is obviously air cooled, so it doesn't have a coolant reservoir. But the FZ07 one normally mounts way down here, which is not going to work for us because it is way too low. So we have to make our own, and we're going to be making one that fills this little area right here. So what we ended up doing was doing a pen and paper kind of a sketch of the general shape that we wanted. So we are going to do a flat here and a flat there, and then kind of a couple little arcs to fill this area, and it'll fit nice and flush right in here. The fairing comes right around here, and then it'll just kind of help funnel some of that air through here as well and block off this area and kind of look like a nice little cover, so it hides some of this not so pretty stuff in here. So what we've done, so we took that sketch that we did, we got the measurements, we came over here, we did some solid modeling in our CAD software, and then we're taking it over here to our sheet cam setup for our CNC plasma table, and we get the tool path from there, and we run it in our control program, load it up, and then I've already ran one of them just to make sure that everything is running good, and this is what we're coming up with. So these are going to be the side plates. It takes two of them. This is 1/8 inch material, aluminum. So this is going to be sitting in here kind of like that. So there'll be two of them here. They'll be kicked out at an angle to let air out the side, and then it's going to be about 1 inch thick. So I'm going to go ahead and cut another one of these for the second side, and then cut some sides and show you guys how we put it all together. So you guys watched us just cut those out. Those turned out perfect. So it took a little bit to get this machine kind of dialed in, and the cut quality just right. And it is running really well so far. I'm really happy with how those turned out. So you saw that run. Say hi, Coop. What are you trying to get? You saw those run. We cut our parts out. They turned out really nice. So you can see they're still a little wet from the water in the table, but we have very little cleanup to do on these. I'm really impressed with how little spatter and dross is on the back. This is aluminum, so it's not going to have as much to begin with as steel, but still the steel that we do cut comes out pretty nice as well. So you can see we've got our two side plates. We've got one piece that we're going to put on that radius there, one piece for that radius there, and then this long piece we're going to make two bends in it, one about here and one about there, and that will be these three sides there. And so it's only going to be about 1 inch thick, about yay. And we've got a couple fittings that we're going to put on for a cap or a fill, and then some 1/4 inch NPT fittings for the nipple connection from up here. So we've got a hose that has to go here to the bottom, and then we're also going to be running a cool little tube, clear tube for our, I guess, the level, coolant level, so you can see inside that tube, make sure that we're not running low for any reason. So I'm going to set up the GoPro for some time-lapse footage, and you guys can go ahead and watch me clean these up. I'll grab those fittings and kind of lay them out so you can see what's going on there, and we're just going to kind of get to work. So up until it's done, I'm going to try not to talk a whole lot and just kind of bust it out and show you guys when we are getting close to being done. And just a quick little update for y'all. So we got all those parts, we cleaned them up, we deburred them, we de-ate them, and then we fit them all together. So this is what we are left with. So I was lazy, I didn't get my actual sheet metal brake out of the trailer, so you saw me just bend them on the edge of the table, and it wasn't as precise as I had hoped, but that's what I get for being lazy and not getting the right tools out. So I'm left with a little gap up here, and then a little gap on that side there, but that will not be a problem at all for welding. And I had one gap right on this edge, and that shouldn't be a problem either, so that'll fill right up. And yeah, but other than that, it turned out pretty well. I'm pretty happy with how it looks. So it's right at 1 inch thick, and you saw me throw it up there in the time lapse, but it's gonna fit very nicely right in there. So you can see right about in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and weld this guy up nice and solid. But before I do that, just a quick reminder, when you're welding closed containers, drill a weep hole. So I am going to clean this, prep it, wire brush it, and then wipe it down with some acetone so it's nice and clean for welding, and then drill one little weep hole right up top here so the air has somewhere to escape when it starts heating up inside of this guy. And then this is also where our fill is going to be. So I'm actually going to be using a -12 AN fitting as a fill cap because I couldn't find any with caps that were small enough to fit on a 1 inch wide tank. So we're improvising and running with that. So I've got that stuff I'll show you there, but that will be up here at the highest point. So, weldy time.
Got off the wires when I close my eyes, disconnected and tired. I see you, yeah. And I know you.
And just like that, we are all done with our welding. So this thing turned out really well. Camera died halfway through, so you guys didn't see me get to weld the 1/4 inch MPT fittings and the AN fitting and our tabs up here. But as you can see, we made them and we welded them in, and everything turned out pretty awesome. So we have a tab going up to our radiator mount up there, just like that guy. So that's a shared tab. Then we got another tab that comes down to this case bolt right in here, right above our coolant line or coolant flow hose connector, outlet, inlet, whatever you want to call it. So that fits perfectly on there. And so what we're doing is on the side here, these are going to be for our little fill gauge. It's going to tell us how full our reservoir is. We have our fill on top there, and on the back we have, that's going to be our inlet that goes to our radiator nipple up there, and then that top is our true overflow. So when it gets to that point, it will start spilling over onto the ground. So I've got all of our fittings over here that we need, so I'm going to start threading some of these guys in, then bolt it up and show you guys what it looks like. But this thing turned out pretty nice. Welds look decent for what they are. Again, pretty happy with how that CNC cut these plates out. Everything welded nice with a little cleanup and prep. It goes a long way in terms of weld quality and keeping things clean. So Pretty happy with how this is coming along here. So nice and slim. It fits right where it needs to, right on that side there. The back I hit with some little Scotch-Brite pads on the die grinder just to get some of the little marring out of some plate since it's been hanging out in the shop for a while. So it's not brand new material. I still have a little bit more to try to get out because these will be powder coated at some point with everything else. So this is our coolant reservoir all finished and assembled. Well, it's not finished because it doesn't have powder coat yet. So it will get black powder coat to match everything else that we're going to be powder coating on the bike. But this is what it looks like all assembled. So you can see that we've got that clear hose here. And so when this is mounted like this, when there is coolant in here, it will show on or in this tube. So that will allow us to see how full our coolant reservoir is. And on the back side, you can see we've got our 90-degree brass fittings that keep it nice and low profile. The top one is going to be our true overflow, so this will go straight down like that. We'll zip tie it or cable tie it to something else in that area, and then this one is what goes to our radiator fill nipple or overflow nipple. So pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and bolt it in. So here we go, like that. Alright guys, so now it is installed. Man, I am super happy with how this turned out. So very nice and slim. It doesn't even stick out past the furthest point of the case, which is exactly what we're looking for. It's pretty much flush with our engine mount and our frame here. It follows the line of our radiator really nicely down there. You can see our cool little fill level tube in here. So I put just a tiny dot of green food coloring in the filtered water I put in the coolant overflow here. And just to give you an idea of what it would look like. So as you everything moves around, that will go up or down. So right now the fill level is right about there, which is where you want. I might actually just end up filling it up right around there so we can tell if it's completely full or not. So it seems to hold about 8 ounces, 8 to 10 ounces, I'd say about 10 ounces of coolant or water, which will be just fine for what it is because it is a motorcycle with a small engine. I'm not too worried about it pulling too much on there. If it's going through that much, we've got bigger issues. But overall, super happy with how this thing turned out. The welds look nice and clean all the way around. Our mounting tabs turned out just perfect for exactly where it needs to be. All the little welds on the bunks going across there, so you can see this is a D8 finish on the other side. I actually kind of hit it with that Scotch-Brite pad on the die grinder, so I'll probably do that here because there are a few little deeper scratches that we will want to get out before powder coat. So just a couple more views so you can see how it ties into that case bolt right in there. Turned out great. So overall, super happy with how this project looks. Alrighty guys, well that turned out amazing for what it was. We got to use the new CNC plasma table to actually cut out a part for the Grom, so that is super cool. So that's the first on this bike that we've been able to use our new equipment for the actual bike. So super happy with how that turned out. The welds turned out nice. How it fit on the bike is just perfect. So the fairings come just right in here, and they're gonna fit awesome as well. So we're excited to get this thing going. So we are working on getting the CNC mill up and running in the back so we can get that rear sprocket spacer figured out, and hopefully after that we can go for a test ride. So we just have to get some of our electrical system and our wire harness kind of all tied up to the frame in here, get our hand controls put back on, hook up the front brakes, hook up the rear brakes, and take it for a spin. So as always guys, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what we're doing here, if you want to see more, take a second to like this video, subscribe to our channel, check out our Patreon and our Instagram in the links below. And yeah, we will see you guys in next video.